Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is a law, love under will. I'm with you another morning here. We're still, uh, I don't know if I gave you the impression yesterday that we've already moved, but we haven't. Okay. Uh, Later on, uh, early this evening, many of Constance's plants are going up. Uh, we're trying to move as much as possible our little garden here, but we won't be actually moving until next week sometime. So you'll have me here complaining until uh, Thursday or Friday next week, and then there'll be a little pause, maybe for 2 days, and or maybe not. I'll figure out a way to have our morning meetings. Uh, but anyway, thank you for coming along on this adventure with us, and my meetings with you in the morning are certainly uh, good for me anyway, and a welcome break in an otherwise very hectic and exhausting thing. Everybody says moving is terrible, and I guess we've been lucky that we haven't had to do it in 22 years. But anyway, that being said, I was looking through stuff that I'm packing away, and my brother, the astrologer, used to send me one of these every July for my birthday, and this was one from 1988. Okay, and this is where we kept most of our lodge activities and initiations and things like that. We were very, very, very busy, sometimes with as many as 5 OTO events taking place in our home every week, including, I believe at this time, 2 weekly magic classes. And I ran across a reference to the initiations and the meetings with Christopher Hyatt. And this is along about the time that I met Christopher Hyatt, whose name was actually Dr. Alan Miller. And we became friends, and he was initiated in our lodge. And along about 1988, he asked me to if I would write a short introduction or a short like epilogue or to a new book that he was writing called The Secrets of Western Tantra. And so it was my first opportunity to write something, get it published. And so I wrote him a little something, and part of it was praising one of my heroes at the time, Robert Anton Wilson, and Christopher Hyatt also published Bob Wilson stuff too. So it was a wonderful, exciting time. And eventually, just a couple years later, he and I would write 4 books together. And the excerpt I'm going to read for you today is from the second book we started, but the first book that got published, and we called it The Enochian World of Aleister Crowley. And at the very first edition had the subtitle Enochian Sex Magic. He contributed the sex magic stuff, and I did the basic outline stuff for the Enochian stuff. Well, over the years, and it's been republished in various editions. And there are 2 editions now from 2 different publishers, which is get either one. Everybody's happy with that situation. But it's gone through several editions, and I've got a few extra material that I've added to the latest one from New Falcon anyway. And but anyway, any edition that you can find of Aleister Crowley's or the Enochian World of Aleister Crowley will give you the uh, same thing. Uh, so I was challenged with uh, doing a very, very basic, I guess you could call it white bread, Golden Dawn uh, version of Enochian Magick as practiced by the Golden Dawn and Aleister Crowley. Okay. Obviously, the scholarship on the subject has increased in the years following that, and eventually I would write what I consider my most serious Enochian book called Enochian Vision Magic from Weiser. So, but the only books that were available, truly, or among the books that were available in those days, in order to do Enochian Magick, you more or less had to get the material out of two sources. Rigardi's Golden Dawn, which had sections on how the Golden Dawn or Stella Matutina taught Enochian Magick, and then what Aleister Crowley expanded on that. So truly, those were the only two texts, and it was really rough going to actually devise a workable system out of the material that was available in 1988. And so anyway, the Enochian World of Aleister Crowley remains a very concise handbook on how to on the theory and how you could actually enter into the Golden Dawn style Enochian workings. So, but if you want to go more super in depth and get to what I consider classic, real live and original Enochian intent, please avail yourself of Enochian Vision Magic. But anyway, it was Aleister Crowley who recognized and elucidated upon the Golden Dawn Enochian material. And he published it in the Equinox Volume 1, numbers 7 and 8. And he called this extended essay a brief abstract of the symbolic representation of the universe derived by Dr. John Dee through the scrying of Sir Edward Kelly. And he subsequently and mercifully renamed it Liber 84 Vel Chanok. Okay, Chanok is sort of a Hebrew for Enoch. And it's neither a chet or a hey. It's actually a or an aleph nun. But anyway, it's a long story. Have I lost you? Here's a little introduction. It's chapter 2. Before we start, let's get something straight. The student who waits to master the subject before proceeding to perform magic will never master the subject nor proceed to perform magic, or for that matter, anything else. And that's a quote from Christopher Hyatt. And I put another epigram here from our good friend David P. Wilson, our late friend, who also wrote as S. Jason Black. Anyone who refuses to begin a magical operation because of fear of evil forces that might be unleashed if he or she makes a mistake has already made a mistake that has invoked a far greater evil. That's pretty wise for David. Okay, now, this is me. Resign yourself at the outset to take responsibility for your own magical reality. When you firmly assume this responsibility, you will realize that there is no Enochian universe per se. There is only your universe, which you can access by the Enochian formulae. There is no Enochian magic per se. There's only your magic, facilitated by the methods of the Enochian system. Now remember, this is me writing 30 years ago. So I'll probably run into things that I said, oh, well, I wouldn't say that today, but who knows? Just keep that in mind. This is not to argue that the concept of spirits and angels having a certain objective reality. Indeed, the fundamental operating principle of evocation is to give outward substance to inner realities. But the sooner you rid yourself of preconceived ideas of how all of this is going to manifest, the sooner you'll be able to recognize it when it really does start to manifest. For example, let us compare the Enochian system of Dr. D to a more familiar system of another Elizabethan genius, Shakespeare. The sensitive theater goer reaps a rich harvest of intellectual and spiritual rewards whenever he or she sees a play by William Shakespeare. Each character in the play, hero or villain, speaks the truth from their particular perspective, and it's up to us as the audience to analyze these truths and apply them toward understanding our own lives. Now, if I restate that in magical language, every angel in the system, divine or demonic, declares its nature from their particular perspective, and it is up to me as the magician to analyze their communication and apply that knowledge to the understanding of the great work. Now, these truths would be the same truths if the actors were dressed traditionally as cowboys or space aliens. Granted, you might be distracted and miss the point of Hamlet's soliloquy if it were delivered by a giant amoeba. But a biologist might find it most profound. Just as no two people see and react to the play in the same exact way, so too no two magicians will have identical experiences in evocation. Under the subheading, Dare to be Lazy. And I'm the laziest man on earth. That's why simple things like moving everything in my life after 22 years is so exhausting, because I'm lazy. Anyway, but I digress. If you're truly interested in performing Enochian magic, there is more than enough information between the covers of this little book to help you grasp the theory, build the equipment, and perform the magic. In fact, you're encouraged to do so. By following the suggestions in the section that follows, you'll avoid many of the time-consuming mistakes that have traditionally plagued the Enochian student. Supplementary to the text of Enoch, which I include in its totality in the book, I have produced comments to each of the major sections and have additional diagrams in the appendix. I strongly suggest you read these and refer to the diagrams while you read Enoch. You'll save many hours of confusion and frustration if you'll just take this simple advice. Also, pay special attention to the hints. They're put there to steer you clear of the rocks of Crowley's thrifty use of the English language, not to mention his downright omissions and a typo or two. Make it easy on yourself and dare to be lazy. Now, of course, I'm not going to read all of the book. It reads like a textbook and a manual and stuff like that. Uh, uh, but I am going to read you just this little piece here from chapter 3. 10-minute overview. The two pillars of modern Enochian magic, as outlined in Liber Hanoch, chapter 5, are the elemental watchtowers, including the Tablet of Union, and the world of the 30 Aethers. The first is elemental watchtowers of the universe and the Tablet of Union. There are elemental tablets, and in the book there's plates 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which are constructed with the purest hermetic logic and lettered according to the diagrams of D and Kelly. So they're lettered according to the diagrams of D and Kelly. But it was the Golden Dawn that put them in that truncated pyramid situation. These letters form the names of the spirits of fire, water, air, and earth. These are the elementals of literature, the salamanders of fire, the undines of water, the sylphs of air, and the gnomes of the earth. Exactly what are the elements, and more importantly, why would anyone want to call up an elemental being? Below is a portion of the book, the first book that Hyatt and I conspired on, and we called it The Way of the Secret Lover, Tantra, Tarot, and the Holy Guardian Angel. And that, under that edition, that was in 1991. Again, which touches on the subject. Here's my a clip of my little essay in that book. The ancients viewed the elements as the building blocks of creation. They divided them into 4 broad categories, which they called fire, water, air, and earth. Of course, these aren't the chemical elements which combine to form the material world around us, nor are they literally fire, water, air, and earth. They are, most simply put, the totality of all the forces, energies, and qualities in the universe divided into 4 broad categories. These categories, by their nature, bear a resemblance to fire, water, air, and earth. These qualities are the foundation of both galaxies and subatomic particles. And the limitless diversity of creation is the result of the infinite number of ways these 4 elements can be mixed, combined, and recombined. Now, it's interesting to note that modern physics postulates 4 fundamental forces: the strong force, the electromagnetic force, the weak force, and the gravitational force. That, by their characteristics, bear a remarkable resemblance to the ancient elements. And we could also throw in, major chemical. Earth is carbon. Water is hydrogen. Oxygen is air. Okay, the ancients also postulated a 5th element, quite literally quintessence, which serves the double duty of binding the 4 elements together and at the same time keeping them far enough apart to retain their individuality. This 5th element they called spirit. Okay, now in the book I have you systematically color in your Enochian tablets, step by step, in a very certain way. Once you've colored your tablets, you'll see how the angels of any given element are formed, combined, mixed, and recombined, and reformed. Obviously, these elements are more than just the salamanders in your fireplace, or the sailor's mermaid, or Tinker Bell, or Gimli the dwarf. They have far more universal natures, and as such are worthy of our attention. As a matter of fact, they are at work either efficiently or inefficiently in each of us. Perhaps if we had a better understanding of our elemental balance, or lack of it, we might get a clue as to how to improve our lives. And that's where we'll stop. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane and a little clarity about the wonderful beginning relationship with Dr. Hyatt that I am so deeply grateful for. He died a few years back, and he was definitely quite a memorable character. And he wrote under the pen name Christopher Hyatt, and his books are definitely worth having in your library. Okay, that being said, plunging back into the day and the move of the garden. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.